A couple months ago, I did a video where I analyzed the 2025 Bordeaux vintage and revealed 11 of my favorite wines from that very promising vintage. Since that time, most of the prices have been rolled out for the remainder of the Bordeaux wines that are available in the market, and a number of viewers have requested that I do a follow-up video identifying some of my favorite values from the 2025 Bordeaux vintage. So in this video, I'm going to identify 10 of the very best values in Bordeaux in the 2025 vintage. Of course, my previous video recommends some wines that represent excellent value as well, and I'll link that video at the end so you can watch that one if you'd like to do so. We're going to start out on Bordeaux's left bank in Saint-Estèphe. This is a winery that has parcels in a prestigious area very close to Chateau Montrose. Phelan Segur recently modernized its winemaking facilities, and those investments have been paying off handsomely. The 2025 vintage is arguably one of the best ever for Phelan Segur. This wine is surprisingly elegant and refined for a wine from Saint-Estèphe, coming in at only 13.5% alcohol by volume. It has more of a dark fruit profile, and there's also surprisingly refined tannins. This wine has incredible aromatic intensity. This wine is a blend that consists of 65% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Merlot, 3% Cabernet Franc, and 2% Petit Verdot. They mature this wine for 18 months in 55% New French Oak. This is a wine that will definitely benefit from a couple additional years in the bottle, and it will cruise in your cellar for 12 to 15 years thereafter. A tremendous value that you should be able to purchase for less than $50 per bottle. Certainly the focus of this video will be wines that sell for between $25 and $50 per bottle or so, and yet nevertheless offer extreme quality for wines at that price point. But in my opinion, great value does not always necessarily mean low pricing. You could have a wine, for example, that sells for $150 per bottle, and yet compares favorably with some of the first growth wines that sell for $400, $500, $600 per bottle or more. And so it is with the 2025 Chateau Montrose. This is a wine that's received at least 3 100-point scores already and is absolutely one of the very best wines produced in the 2025 vintage. Montrose is a second growth in the 1855 classification of Bordeaux, and like Phelan Segur, it's located in Saint-Estèphe. For many years, Montrose was a bit of a laggard relative to its classification, terroir, and potential, but in 2006 it was acquired, and the new owners invested a whopping 55 million euros into renovating and updating all aspects of the property, both inside the winery and in the vineyards. These investments began to pay off beginning around 2014, and quality has never been higher at Montrose since that time. Beginning in 2023, in my opinion, quality took another step forward when Montrose began sourcing the fruit for the top wine exclusively from its Terrace 4 vineyard. The Terrace 4 vineyard at Montrose is the one that's located closest to the estate and also very close to the Gironde River. The fruit from these prestigious parcels was always the highest quality fruit from Montrose, but they had previously blended in fruit from other parcels into the wine as well. But now they've taken a step forward by focusing exclusively on this high-quality fruit and using only around 35 to 40% of the harvest in this top wine. 2025 Montrose has incredible purity of fruit and comes in at a very restrained 13.4% alcohol by volume. This wine is a blend that consists of 77% Cabernet Sauvignon, 19% Merlot, and 4% Cabernet Franc. It matures in the extremely impressive Montrose barrel room for 18 months in around 60% New French Oak. This wine features flavors and aromas of blackcurrant, violets, graphite, and cedar. It has an extraordinarily long finish. Even at $150 per bottle, I think that the Montrose represents extreme value, and I recommend backing up the truck on this one and buying as much of this wine as you can. You'll definitely be very happy that you did down the road. My new book, Napa Valley Decoded, is already a #1 bestseller and the top new release in wine. This is the book that I wish I had when I first got into Napa Valley many years ago. This book has quickly become a trusted resource for collectors, enthusiasts, and wine professionals. Whether you drink Napa Valley wines, are studying for a certification exam, or are visiting Napa Valley, this book will be an invaluable resource. To learn more, please be sure to check out the link in the description below. One of the areas in Bordeaux that did particularly well during the 2025 vintage is the Limestone Plateau on Bordeaux's right bank. So the next wine that I'm recommending comes from Saint-Emilion and the Limestone Plateau. This is the Trotte Vieille. Trotte Vieille is a rare right bank wine that's dominant in Cabernet Franc, with slightly more than half of the blend being Cabernet Franc. There's also a substantial percentage of Merlot and a splash of Cabernet Sauvignon as well. This wine is incredibly expressive and aromatic. Flavors and aromas include blueberry, blackberry, black plum, graphite, violets, mixed spice, and much more. They are maturing this wine in 100% new French oak, so it will benefit from a couple additional years of bottle age before you start enjoying it. It's extremely elegant, but also extremely well structured. This wine has a long life ahead of it and will cruise in your cellar for 25 to 30 years or more. The 2025 Trotte Vieille sells for around $67 per bottle. During my last visit to Bordeaux, I visited Léoville-Lescasse, and I tasted not just some Léoville-Lescasse wines, but also some other wines produced by the Delonde family. During that tasting, I was reminded of the extreme quality and affordability of one of the wines that they produce in the Médoc. While Chateau Potensac is located in the Médoc, it's also located extremely close to both the Saint-Estèphe border and Cologne-Segur. As such, their terroir is still quite impressive, especially for the Médoc, and they're capable of producing extremely high-quality wines, particularly in strong vintages like 2025. In fact, the 2025 will undoubtedly go down as one of their better vintages produced to date. The 2025 Chateau Potensac is a blend that consists of 41% Merlot, 37% Cabernet Sauvignon, and 22% Cabernet Franc. Despite the extremely reasonable $25 price point, you'll definitely want to resist the urge to start enjoying this one too early. It's still a very austere structured wine in its youth, and it will definitely be better after 2030, and personally I'd probably wait until at least 2033 to start enjoying your bottles. Nevertheless, provided that you have some storage capacity and enough wine to enjoy in the meantime, you really can't go wrong with the price to quality ratio for Chateau Potensac. In addition, I would strongly consider buying back vintages of Potensac from strong vintages like 2016 or 2018, which still represent extraordinary value and which are very much in their drinking window today. Since I know that many of you are impatient, next up is a wine that you can enjoy on the younger side or at any time over the next 20 years after this is released. This is a wine that comes from a producer that's classified as a fourth growth in the 1855 classification of Bordeaux, and that's located in Saint-Julien. Branaire-Ducru harvested its fruit beginning as early as September 4 in 2025. That's the earliest that it's ever started its harvest. But the results were impressive. The 2025 Branaire-Ducru is an extremely highly acclaimed wine that received between 95 and 97 points from pretty much every major critic that reviewed it. This wine has incredible freshness, purity of fruit, and elegance. This wine is a blend that consists of 62% Cabernet Sauvignon, 26% Merlot, and the remainder is equal parts Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot. They mature this wine in around 2/3 new French oak. The 2025 Branaire-Ducru sells for $47 per bottle. It's a mineral-driven wine that includes black and blue fruit, floral notes, graphite, licorice, and mixed spice. Next up is a highly acclaimed wine that comes from Bordeaux's right bank, and Saint-Emilion in particular, yet sells for only $29 per bottle, and undoubtedly less than that in Europe. This is Chateau Mangot. Chateau Mangot is a family-owned producer that embraces sustainability and organic farming principles. Mangot has a fairly large estate with 35 hectares of vines. Interestingly, they mature their wines in a variety of vessels, including oak barrels of various ages, as well as amphora and even some stainless steel. Chateau Mangot absolutely knocked it out of the park in 2025, especially for the sub-$30 price point. This wine is a blend that consists of 60% Merlot, 35% Cabernet Franc, and 5% Cabernet Sauvignon. You can enjoy this wine immediately or over the next 15 years thereafter. You can expect flavors and aromas that include black plum, black cherry, licorice, smoke, and mixed spice. Shortly before my last video on 2025 Bordeaux, I published a video on Pontet-Canet because I just visited for the second time a few months before that. But no video about 2025 value Bordeaux would be complete without including the 2025 Pontet-Canet, which is a candidate for wine of the vintage and yet sells for as little as $89 per bottle, even in the United States. While Pontet-Canet has long been a favorite of this channel, there's some viewers that thought that it was a little bit too New World in nature, but certainly Pontet-Canet, in my experience, has taken some steps to address that in the past few vintages, and the wines have never been more elegant or had more freshness than they have recently. Among other things, they've increased the amount of foliage in the vines to prevent overripeness, and they've also made some tweaks to the barrel maturation process. The 2025 Pontet-Canet, for example, was matured in 50% new French oak, 35% amphora, and 15% oak that had one previous use. The 2025 Pontet-Canet is simply stunning. This is arguably one of the best vintages they've ever produced, and that is saying a lot, especially since I really enjoy the 2009, 2010, and 2016 vintages. The 2025 Pontet-Canet is a blend that consists of 56% Cabernet Sauvignon, 39% Merlot, 4% Cabernet Franc, and there's a splash of Petit Verdot. You can expect flavors and aromas of blackcurrant, licorice, graphite, cedar, and mixed spice. There's ample acidity and a long finish. This wine comes in at 13.3% alcohol by volume. Next up is another wine that sells for only $29 per bottle in the United States, despite the fact that it comes from a fifth growth in the 1855 classification of Bordeaux. Chateau Cantemerle is based in the Haut-Médoc, and this is a Cabernet Sauvignon-driven wine, although the Petit Verdot is also particularly prominent in this blend. The 2025 Cantemerle was well received by critics. This is perhaps one of the strongest vintages for this wine that they've ever produced. They used a reasonably strict selection for the 2025 vintage. Only 60% of the harvest went into their top wine, and they matured this wine for around 12 months in 35% new oak barrels. This is a wine that you can enjoy on the younger side, although it's better with at least a year or two of additional bottle age after you receive it, and you can enjoy it over 15 to 20 years thereafter. You can expect flavors and aromas that include mixed fruit, tobacco, cedar, and mixed spice. Despite the fact that there are some prestigious producers in the Margaux appellation, such as Chateau Palmer and Chateau Margaux, that sell for fairly large price points, there's still some exceptional value to be had in that appellation. This next producer has been on a hot streak in making consistently excellent wines for extremely attractive price points. This is the 2025 Chateau Labegorce. This wine was well received by all the critics that reviewed it, yet sells for around $34 per bottle in the United States. This wine is a blend of 50% Cabernet Sauvignon, 40% Merlot, and equal parts Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot. This wine matures in 30% new French oak for around 15 months. You can expect flavors and aromas that include red and blue fruit, licorice, floral notes, graphite, and mixed herbs and spice. This wine will be better with an additional year or two of bottle age and cruise in your cellar for about 10 years after that. 2025 Bordeaux is really an amazing opportunity to be able to stock up on classified growth Bordeaux from extremely solid producers for $50 or less per bottle. This next wine is another terrific example of that. Chateau Saint-Pierre is a fourth growth in the 1855 classification of Bordeaux. It's located in Saint-Julien and makes consistently outstanding wines. Yet the 2025 vintage sells for only $47 per bottle. Critics have absolutely raved about the Chateau Saint-Pierre from 2025, which consists of 78% Cabernet Sauvignon, 15% Merlot, and equal parts Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot. This is a seamless wine that's full-bodied and intensely concentrated, yet also has impressive purity of fruit. It has a dark fruit profile with blackcurrant, graphite, lavender, mixed herbs, and spice. It has a long, complex finish. There's no rough edges, but it does have some structure that will benefit from a few additional years in the bottle. Really an extraordinary wine for less than $50 per bottle. If you'd like to hear my in-depth analysis of the 2025 Bordeaux vintage, and discover 11 more Bordeaux wines from that vintage that I recommend, please be sure to watch this video that's linked above.